to 4 of the attendees. There's 3 more that are pending to come that we're waiting for, but you could start whenever you would like.
Oh, okay. So we're going to be going over how to contest a 7-day notice here in Nevada. And Brianna, thank you for setting this up. We're currently live, right?
Yes, we're currently live.
All right. So it's not quite noon, and noon is our starting. My name is David Olshan. I do landlord-tenant law and other areas of law here at Nevada Legal Services. If you have any questions, you want to do an online intake, go to nlslaw.net. You will find some information. Summary eviction, created in 1967 by Helen Herr. Probably shouldn't be celebrated and have a school named after her, but there you go. She basically wanted to help landlords on Fremont Street get rid of deadbeats, so she created summary eviction. And we're going to talk about it. It's a classic exception swallowing the rule. Now everyone enjoys, or at least landlords enjoy, summary eviction. And oh, we just hit noon. Okay, so it is the witching hour for some people. It's lunch hour for others. Again, my name is David Olshan. I work at Nevada Legal Services. I've done landlord-tenant law for about 30 years now. So I'm going to be talking about how to contest a 7-day notice. As we know, the CDC moratorium has ended, and you may be facing an eviction with a 7-day pay rent or quit notice. So this basic video, it shouldn't be that long. We're just going to go over how to address a 7-day notice if you have received one and how to address it. Arrows work. Avengers assemble. Brianna, can you help me out? That lead up was like the expectations are palpable. Oh, here, okay, wow. Sorry for the technical difficulties, but why are we here? We're going to talk about contesting a non-payment eviction. The thing you need to understand, and the thing that you should do, is apply for rental assistance, because under AB 486, you will have a defense to the eviction if you've applied for rental assistance. What you need to do to contest the eviction, first apply for rental assistance, then file an affidavit. You should also seek mediation, because these are all ways that you can protect yourself and avoid eviction. Where? So where are you going to file that affidavit? Where are you going to submit it so that you can present the court with your defense? It's the justice court in your township. Your eviction notice must have the township in which you can contest the eviction, and you should just read your notice, read everything on the notice, because it will indicate the township that you're in. Could be Las Vegas, could be Reno, could be Good Springs. So check it out. Your 7-day notice must have your township, and that's where you go to contest the eviction. When? You have 7 days to respond to the eviction notice, 7 days, within 7 days of receiving the eviction notice. So you don't count the day that you receive it, and you count each successive day thereafter, excluding weekends, holidays, and non-judicial days. Non-judicial days means days the court is closed, shuttered. Currently, Henderson has a 4-day week. Las Vegas and North Las Vegas are open 5 days a week. And Las Vegas just changed. They used to be on a 4-day week, but now they're on 5 days because they want to do as many evictions as possible. So just in Henderson, you don't count Friday. In Las Vegas and North Las Vegas, you do. In other areas of the state, you do. If the court is open, you count that day. If the court is not open, you don't count that day. Obviously, Saturdays and Sundays, you're not going to count. We do give you some examples. If you were served on Sunday, you have until Tuesday, August 10th, to respond, file your affidavit in the township where you reside. If you received a notice on Monday, August 2nd, you have until Wednesday, August 11th to respond. Tuesday, August 3rd, it's due Thursday, August 12th. So that gives you an idea of what you do. You don't count the day you're served, you count each successive day, excluding weekends, holidays, and other days the court is closed. Let's talk a little bit about defenses. Under the CDC moratorium and under some of the directives of the governor, the landlord was prevented from issuing an eviction notice based on the failure to pay rent. So you may have a lot of rent that's due, and if that's the case, you really traditionally don't have a defense. However, AB 486 allows you a defense even if you owe $10,000 in rent if you're applying for rent assistance. So that's why it's important to apply for that rent assistance, because it's going to help you during this tough time. If you haven't applied for rent assistance, if you've tried to pay the rent, that's a defense. If you've paid the rent, that's a defense. Or if you have some claim against the landlord, it's a habitability, you're withholding rent, it's a habitability situation where the roof is leaking, and you've issued a 14-day notice to the landlord, you do have the right to withhold rent. If there's retaliation, let's say you complain about the roof leaking and the landlord tries to evict you, that's retaliation. So that's some of the substantive defenses. But as I indicated before, apply for rent assistance, because under AB 486, that's going to be a defense to a non-payment eviction if you owe a lot of money. You can also file for bankruptcy protection, and temporarily that will help you. And it is a defense to a 7-day notice if you file for bankruptcy protection and the landlord has not tried to lift the stay. All right, the affidavit. This is all about the affidavit and what you need to do to contest the eviction and avoid the lockout order. So you're going to get that 7-day notice, and you're going to fill out an affidavit and file it with the court. So currently you have in Southern Nevada, Las Vegas Township. In Northern Nevada, you have Reno. They will accept or they will require electronic filing, which means you're going to need an email address and access to the internet. Before you actually file, you need to fill out the affidavit. So we're going to go through the affidavit. We're going to use as a model the Las Vegas form, and we're going to basically explain what you need to do to fill out that affidavit and contest the eviction. So the first thing you need to do is look at your eviction notice. And well, let me stop you for a minute. This form requires you to list the township that you're in. So again, your township is going to be in your 7-day notice. Check the notice, put the township in the first blank. Your landlord's name is going to go in the second blank. If you're ABC Apartments, you're going to put ABC Apartments. If your landlord is Jill Smith, you're going to put that as the landlord. You're going to put whatever name is basic, whoever's giving you the 7-day notice, you're going to put that as the landlord in this eviction case. You're going to put your name, address, phone number, email address as the tenant, as the defendant. Your email, your contact information is very, very important, because the court is going to contact you, let you know if, for instance, you file for a fee waiver, they're going to let you know whether it's granted or denied, whether you have a hearing date. So that contact information is very important. In the first line, paragraph 1, I am a tenant at the rental unit. You're going to put your address, because that is basically what this case is about. You're fighting over your tenancy, your ability to stay there. So you want to put the correct address in line 1. In line 2, you want to indicate whether you're on public housing or not. I don't know why this is paragraph 2. Most people know whether they're subsidized by a housing authority. So you're going to put you're not subsidized. But that's in the second paragraph. If your rent is subsidized, you're going to check the second box. If it's not, you're going to check the first box. Okay. This is important, and it's really vital. So there's going to be a point where you're going to indicate whether you want mediation or not. Of course you want mediation. It's already included in AB 486. So if you're applying for rent assistance and the application is pending or the landlord refuses it, they're going to shove you into mediation. So always, always, always request mediation, because at a minimum, it's going to delay the eviction, and it's going to give you more time to either pay the rent, get the rent assistance, or just allow you to move on. Then you're going to indicate your preference, whether it's in-person, telephonic, or video conference. Obviously, the preference is by telephone or by video. You don't want to expose yourself to COVID, expose your family to the Delta variant. So obviously, anything that allows you to call in, you can take a break from work, or you can do it from home. Those are obviously the preferable ways to do it. You're going to indicate who's going to participate. Obviously, you're going to participate. You're going to put phone numbers and contact information. These boxes are fairly self-explanatory, and they basically provide information for the mediator to conduct the mediation. All right, so this is where we get down to the nitty-gritty, the defense that you're going to raise. And keep in mind, NRS 40.253 paragraph 6 allows you to put whatever you want in this affidavit. You still get a hearing. But I would stick to what the form requires. And here, again, if you've applied for rental assistance under AB 486, you will have a defense. So just check that box. If it's not in a form that you're filling out, it should be. So there should be an other area in your affidavit form. Just put, I've applied for rent assistance, and under AB 486, I have a defense to the eviction. Okay, so here we're going to say the landlord refused to participate or was granted rent assistance and the landlord refused. If you're allowed rent assistance and the landlord refuses, you have a defense to the eviction. So you should check those boxes and just make sure you request mediation and that you indicate to the court that you've applied for rental assistance under Nevada law AB 486. That is a defense to the eviction. You could get into other things, whether the landlord's charging an unreasonable late fee of 5%, of more than 5%. The landlord is requesting other costs. Generally speaking, if you haven't paid rent for a year, the landlords shouldn't really include other costs, but you know, who knows? Maybe it's $10,000 and $20,000 for the cable bill that you didn't pay. All right. If you're using habitability as a defense, you must deposit your rent into the court, into escrow. If you've issued a 14-day notice and you're withholding rent, that's what the law requires you to do. If you are denied essential services like hot and cold running water, air conditioning, if it's supplied in the lease or by the landlord, if it's working when you move in, gas, electricity, a working door lock. If that's the reason why you're withholding rent, you don't have to deposit the rent into the court. Okay. All right, so this on the Clark County form, there is an other defense, and if the form that you have doesn't have, you've applied for rent assistance, this is where you're going to put that information. And if you want to put it twice, put it twice. I've applied for rental assistance and the application is pending. That provides a defense to the 7-day pay rent or quit notice. Okay, so when you finish up, you're going to put the date, you're going to print your name, and you're going to sign it. Now, when you finish that affidavit, you must mail a copy of the affidavit to the landlord or the manager. And if you do that, you will be protected from a lockout order because you've done everything that the law requires. You've filled out the affidavit, you've sent it to the landlord. Now, the only thing you need to do is file it with the court. All right, again, Las Vegas, Reno, and Sparks, they have e-filing. In Las Vegas, for instance, you can go to the Self-Help Center. It's in the Regional Justice Center. They will help you e-file your affidavit. And in other jurisdictions, you're just going to have to go over to the township, go over to the court, and file it on paper, file it in person, because you can't file it electronically. Henderson, you will have to do that. North Las Vegas, you will have to do that. You'll have to go down there in person, file it. Once you file it, though, then you're protected. If the landlord wants to proceed, the landlord has to go to that court and get an eviction order, but the clerk will say, stop. The tenant's filed an affidavit and you have to go to a hearing. All right, e-filing instructions, we will have that on our Nevada Legal Services Now YouTube channel, so check it out. If you don't know how to e-file, there's instructions on how to do it. And again, we encourage you to apply for rent assistance, contest the eviction because you will have a defense under AB 486. If you need assistance, if you need help with an eviction, with filing, please contact us at Nevada Legal Services. If you're in Northern Nevada, that number is not going to work, but you can call us and we'll route you to the Northern office. Sorry, that's a little bit a mistake in the slideshow, but go to nlslaw.net. You can do an online intake. If you have questions, you can list them in the comments on our YouTube channel. Again, we're here. This video is basically how to fill out an affidavit. If you have questions, if you still don't get it, please contact us and we'll try to help you out. So that's it for me. Again, I'm David Olshan of Nevada Legal Services. If you have questions, again, please contact us, call us, do an online intake. We're here to help, and we have experience with landlord-tenant issues, and that's it. So good luck, and please contact us if you do have a problem or a question. And Brianna, I think we're done. Do we have any comments or questions?
We have one question. How does the tenant know whether the landlord has refused assistance?
Well, it's really not your job to figure that out. It's basically your job to apply for that assistance. And if it's paid, obviously you will know the landlord will have to rescind the eviction notice. But I would guess you would always assume, unless you know for sure, I would always assume that the landlord hasn't accepted the rent and move forward with the affidavit and file it, because you really can't trust landlords. And I would file it to protect myself. If you fill out the affidavit, if you file it with the court, you're not going to be evicted. So then the landlord would have to come in and swear under oath that they've either accepted the rent or not. If they haven't accepted the rent assistance, they can't evict you. So that's the answer basically is, don't trust the landlord. Don't try to anticipate what the landlord is going to do or not do. Just file that affidavit if you don't know for sure, because when you're in court and you're under oath and you're facing a judge, you have a tendency to tell the truth.
There's another question. How do I apply for AB 486 assistance?
Well, it's not AB 486 assistance, it's rent assistance, and we will put that on our YouTube channel. And you can also just Google it, do rent assistance in Nevada. The secretary, the treasurer, Zach Conine, has a link. Also, there's a link whether you live in Washoe County, Clark County, or rural Nevada. You'll see the links to that rent assistance. So just Google it and you'll be able to find it. But you also can go to our YouTube channel and we'll have that posted as well. Anything else?
That's all the questions I've came in so far.
All right. So you want to end it or?
Yeah, we can end it.
Okay.